How's my neighborhood? So yeah, hey everyone. So I didn't take too many trades this week because I was unwell after taking my COVID jab on Wednesday. Still not 100%, but yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? To just trade the markets, make some money when you're 100% on the charts. If you're not feeling well, there's really no reason why you should force a trade or just force yourself to be on the charts. It's okay to take a rest day. And then now let's hit the charts. So on this entry on the 3rd of August for GJ Shorts, what I saw was that price actually was respecting my 50% level of my 1 hour zone. So because I saw this rejection wick didn't give me much info, so I went down to the lower time frames and I confirmed it when I saw the lower highs building on the 15 minute and price closing below, at the same time lower highs on the 5 minute as well. I wanted to enter when price tapped into this area, but I missed a bit, so I was kind of low at this point in time, but it's okay because at the end of the day the stop loss doesn't move by a lot. So after that we see that price actually continues to melt down to the downside. So once it reached my 1 hour zone at this point in time here, this is the 1 hour, I took off 50% of the trade and then I locked my stop loss based on the 15 minute above this area here. So what we see price doing after that was it came back up and then stopped my rest of my position at around 4R. So this trade I would say I netted about 4R on the entire trade. On GJ on the 4th of August, we see that price actually closed above the 1 hour zone, and then when it created a higher low, that's when I made my entry aiming for this 4 hour zone above. So initially I was aiming for this confluence area at around 152.600 to 700, but once I saw that price actually closed below the zone on the 4 hour, this candle here, and the next one created a lower high, I cut off the entire position, netting myself with 8R on the trade. Okay, so the entire trend coming down was bearish. So we see a break of multiple lows, grabbing all the liquidity from this area. So these are key things that we have to watch out for. Same thing as it was coming down low, liquidity here grab, came down again, made another low, liquidity grab, came back up, didn't break a previous swing high. So on the 1 minute chart, the swing high is here because this entire move is the swing coming down, breaking structure on the left. So what we have here is when it came up, failed to make another higher high. This one was the liquidity grab, and when you see a change of structure here, breaking the high, right, the entry can be taken on the retest to this zone here. So if we do it like that, it's the same structure as you using the 1 hour or the 15, just that this one is a lot faster. So you can look at entering off this area here, which is the 5 minute demand zone. So off this area, may or may not miss depending on how you want to enter your trades. So if you enter off this area, let's say on the bullish close, right, then your stop loss can be below this 1 minute zone. Don't squeeze it because it's gold. And TP1 can be at this 50% level of the 1 hour zone, because previously you already got tapped coming down over on the left here. So we see all these areas here getting tapped multiple times at the 1 hour open. So right now it could be aiming for the 50%, reject a bit, then come back down again. So it'll be safer if you aim your TP at this area here, and then that will give you quite a good risk reward, about 6. Then after that you can aim for the higher time frame zones, because by that time you'll be risk free on the trade already. You can aim for this whole bunch of zones here because we have empty spaces yet to be filled, which is also liquidity area. So you should be aiming for this confluence area where all the zones are lining up with each other, which is exactly where it stopped right now. So as you can see, if we held the trade, it will have just flown up towards, let me fast forward it, flown up towards that 4 hour zone with news, and then came back down right after that with the ADP news as well. So that would have given you a nice about 15-16 hour on the trade. So on this gold shorts idea, it was very near the US news, the ISM PMI news. So I didn't take the trade at this point in time, but some of the group members did. So the idea was that I saw price slowing down inside my 4 hour zone over that I've marked out here, slowed down, and I was expecting a liquidity grab towards these highs over here, which it did. And then when it finally closed bearish, there were some signals on the lower time frame that actually prompted the entry. However, because again for me, since it's very near news and my spreads were going a bit wild at that point in time, I didn't want to take the trade. However, in this case, we do see that after this big bullish move, price consolidated for a bit, grabbed the liquidities above the highs. So we have liquidity above here, grabbed it. Then after that, it started to break structure and then come down from there. So the short trade was actually taken by the group members from this area here with their stop loss above the wick highs and then aiming for the 1 hour zone that we have at the bottom. TP1 was set at this demand zone on the 1 hour at this point in time, and then they are still holding the trade. So as you can see, price is still continuing lower, and we're expecting price to actually, if it holds or breaks this zone, then we'll be looking at the 1800 level for the short targets. Alright, for this trade on the 6th of August, Friday, so I saw that price was stuck inside the Asian range and then it made a liquidity grab below it. So usually when it does this, we see a continued move up after that. So this is also in line with the trend. So as we can see from this area here, trend is definitely bullish, right? So we're creating higher highs, higher lows. So that's why I was long bias on this thing, heading towards this 4 hour zone over here. After the liquidity grab, I was waiting for price to come back towards my 1 hour zone, and then because it only left a wick, I had to use the lower time frames to enter my trade. So what I did at this point in time here, once price actually tapped into this area on my 1 hour chart, I watched for price action to change, and then when it made a break of the previous highs, I looked for an entry in this level here, testing my newly formed demand zone, and then that's when I took my entry long with my stop loss below this wick. I grinded for quite a long time during the London session, so as you can see, price action just went sideways for a while, generating lots and lots of liquidity above these highs, here grabbing it at the lows as well. So what happened after that? During NFP, price continued in its overall trend, shooting up towards the 4 hour zone. So I took some profits here at the open of my zone. 50% was taken off here, and then another 50% of the remaining position off at the 4 hour 50% area. So after that, with regards to management, when I saw that price had actually reached a previous 1 hour zone, as you can see denoted by this area here, closed below and created another lower high. So if I were to zoom in for you guys, we can see that price action created a lower high over at this point in time. So that's when I cut off the remaining position after NFP, since it was a Friday anyway and I was already in profits on this trade. So overall, this trade netted me about, I would say, 5R on this trade after securing some of my profits at the two areas that I mentioned before. On the next trade on gold on the same day, I took a long over at this point in time here when I saw that price was actually slowing down in bearish momentum at my 1 hour 50% level. Once I saw this rejection over here, I went down to the lower time frames, and again I saw that price action was changing its structure again. So over at this point in time, we see price rejecting, breaking structure. So when it came back to this area here, I took a long. However, we do see that after that, because of the liquidity shown on the 1 hour at all these lows over here, price then came back down to grab that liquidity towards NFP, and then it hit the stop loss. So this was a small loss on this part, which I took and minimized my risk because I knew that it was pre-NFP. There was a potential that price could actually grab that liquidity on the left. So I waited till after NFP to hit the next trade. So I was a bit early on the next one, as I saw that once price actually reached my daily 50% level here, it started to slow down, and when it broke structure over at this point, I was looking to get in at one of these areas over here, somewhere around this area or this area. So I took my entries long from this retest to my 50% area, but however, because there was liquidity generated below this area and I still had a 4 hour zone below, again I sized down on this trade because I know that should this level not hold, price might reach deeper towards this level. So I took another small loss on this trade, which I then covered on the last trade. Since I was still long bias on gold and I knew that it was going to retest my 4 hour zone, what I did when I saw the 1 minute tapping into this area again, I watched for the break of structure, which it did over at this point in time. And once it retested and broke another structure over on the left, I took my entries on the retest at this point in time, as you can see over here. And then I placed my stop loss below this wick low because I knew that there was liquidity here and price would come and grab it, and that's what this area did. So I was in drawdown for quite a while, but thankfully I wasn't staring at the charts at that point in time. So once it actually hit this area of liquidity and it was about 1 hour, I just closed off the trade because it was Friday and I was about to go to bed. So this one acted me with just a 1 hour trade on this. So that was the trade recap for the week. Hopefully you guys learned something, especially from the misses. Those were very big trades that could have been taken on go. I've included the live snippet from the live trading room that I do with the community members daily. So if you're interested in learning more about my one-to-one mentorship program, like the students inside my live trading room, just drop me a DM on Instagram and I'll be happy to help you out. So let's move on to the weekly forecast. Let's start with GJ for the upcoming week. So we see that GJ on the weekly is making a series of higher highs and higher lows. I'm expecting price to actually come towards this weekly zone that I have over here. And on the daily, we can see the same thing. So currently we have liquidity resting above these areas here. So I'm expecting price to push up towards the weekly. And once it creates a lower high, then I'm looking to take it short, continuing with this bearish trend it has been doing for the past few weeks. So if we go down to the 4 hour, once price taps into this weekly area that I've drawn up over here, the higher zone, we see that the 4 hour is also lining up with the area at the 50%. So I'll be watching for this area to be taken first, and then when lower highs forms from here at 153.800, I'll be looking for shorts down towards 151. So that's the idea on GJ for the week ahead. So on gold, we see that price is actually creating lower highs, lower lows. This high did not manage to break this high, so currently it's ranging between these two weekly zones over here. What I'm expecting is for price to come down to tap the weekly zone and then probably go up towards this area, create another low high, and then come down and break this area here in line with the overall bearish trend. So this one, if we look at the daily, we can see that price is approaching the daily 50%. So if it respects this level currently, 1765, creates a higher low, then I'll be looking for a push up towards that daily and weekly zone confluence area. If not, then I'll be watching for one of these two zones at 1741, 1705, or 1740 even, for price to actually do a rejection, create some confirmations for the bullish move, take the liquidity from these lows potentially, and then go up towards the weekly zone. So that would be the idea on the week for gold. Whew, finally. So that was a bit of a longer video. I decided to squeeze the trade recap. Initially I thought it was going to be a short one, but turns out it wasn't. So I hope you guys enjoyed the trade recap and the weekly forecast together. Let me know if you have any suggestions about what I can do to improve the content, or any questions that you might have. Always put them down in the YouTube description. I respond to everyone. If not, then you can drop me a DM on Instagram as well. So have a good weekend, guys.